Hello there. First of all, I want to say thank you for your purchase of Predator Les Rattle Tails, and I'm sure you're going to do amazing on them, as I do and all my friends do. So I'm going to get straight into it. I'm going to break this down into three. I'm going to show you how to rig them with the twist lock hook and the rattle, and then I'm going to tell you how I fish them, where I fish them, not exact marks, but I'll tell you the areas that they work well at, and then I will go into why I make them with the plastisol I do and why I do it for what action. So the action I'm trying to achieve. So first of all, this is rigging. So if it's a bit overhang there, just chop it off, make it nice and clean. Usually they're pretty clean when I package them. You got your corkscrew hook and the pin at the end, you want to insert straight in dead center of this here. And then you want to twist the lure, don't twist the hook, twist the lure, keep twisting it. And then when you get near the end, what you want to do is line the hook up, so the hanging hook in line with the predator at the top, so it looks like this. So carry on twisting and then line it up, so that's lined up there. So predator logo here, the hook's hanging there, and then you want to bring it in, bring it like that, and you want to, I'll go the other side so you can see. So you want to bring it like this. Don't stretch this lure, just let it hang naturally. Don't stretch it, you don't need to stretch it. Then you want to put your thumb here where the end of the hook is, so you know when you go under the belly you're going through here where that wire is. So hold that. Then what you want to do is go on the underside of the lure, so you can see the belly slit coming down, and then you want to go straight into the lure and push down, so you'll see the slit. You want to go dead center in the middle of that slit, push down so your lure looks like that. Turn it back over so you're facing the top, hold it, squeeze it tight, keep it bent like that, and then you want to guide the hook up, I don't know if you can see that, between that slot, dead center in the middle. And as you bring the hook up, you'll see it, you'll see the black point coming up, hit it straight through the middle, so like that. So once that's done, your lure's going to look like that. So that's rigged and ready to go. If you these are weedless, these are truly weedless, but if you want to make them a little bit more weedless and you're going through like shallow grass areas and stuff, just pull the lure slightly, so you're just pinching it over the barb there. So you're putting that over the point of the hook, so the hook sits like that, so it's sitting down just inside, and then nothing will catch that. So that's that rigged. So I'm going to show you the rattle now. That's the top, underneath. So under the bottom there, you'll see where the back slit is. It's only a 1mm small back slit. You want to come to the end of it. So the idea is you're trying to get the rattle as low down in the tail as possible. So get your rattle, wherever my rattle is. There it is. These are 18mm. Just in case you want to buy your own, the hooks are 60mm by 25mm, and the rattles are 18mm. Just in case you buy your own rigging. So bottom of the lure, bottom of the back slit, right down at the end, you want to insert in the flat area right at the end. What you want to do is just push it in. You can use I'm not sure where it is, but you can use inserts, or you can use something like this if you find it easier, but I just push them in by hand. They're so easy to do. So bend the lure down and push the glass rattle in straight. The aim is to get it in this bit as straight as possible. Push it in. Once you've pushed it in, just with your finger, you'll see it creates a little lump there. So now you get your thumb and you just push down on your thumb and you'll create a cavity inside and it will sit in there. And then if you look, I'm not sure if it's going to show you, you can see that tiny little hole there. These don't fall out. I've not had them fall out, but if you want to, what you can do is you can heat up a bit of wire, a bit of metal, and then you can just dab it down on the hole and that will seal it. I don't do this, but if you want to go and do that, that's fine. So that's set up, and that's the hook and the glass rattle. When the bass hits these, they normally hit them on the drop. When the bass hits these, they will hit it on the drop usually, and they will hit it like that, and that lure will push down and that hook will go in. Once that hook goes in, you normally reel the fish and the lure in like that, and then you can put that back up. So that's ready to go again. So that's the rigging of the rattle tail done. Now you're probably keen to go fishing, so you might not want to watch any more, but I'm going to go on to where's best to fish them, how to fish them, and yeah, just give you some advice on how you should fish them, and what's best and what areas are best to target them. So so with these, you cast out, give them a couple of seconds to drop, they'll flutter down to the bottom. You can either let them hit the bottom or you can just stop them before the bottom. It's up to you. The best way to get to grips with the action of these is cast it out where you can see it in quite clear water, and you know the depth. If it's 4, 5, 6 foot, you will get to know how quick it drops to the depth of water. So cast it out, let it drop, and then what you want to do is you want to twitch it aggressively. So give it one swoop like that with your rod, and then what you want to do then is you want to reel the slack line in, but quite slowly. Don't do a standard normal retrieve. You want to just play with the reel handle. Just turn it a little bit, turn it a little bit more, and as the line slowly starts tightening up, don't tighten it fully. As when the line's close to tightening up, when that slack line sort of becomes a bit tighter, you want to twitch, double twitch, nice and strong twitches. What happens is the lure will be falling as you're reeling that really slack line in. The lure will be falling, and then you're going to twitch, and as soon as you twitch, that lure is going to swoop back up, and it's going to dart. And what I like about these, and this is why I make them with the plasticine, is they're a darting lure as well as a flutter lure. So when you twitch, before you twitch, they will be dropping. When you twitch, they will come up, but they will also dart from side to side. So you're covering, in about 6 foot, you're covering all the water column, but you're also covering about 3 to 4 foot width as well. So that's a lot of area you're covering with a simple soft plastic. And that's why I love these. So yeah, so I'll go over it again. You cast out, give it a few seconds to drop. You'll get to know how deep it is and how quick it drops. It can drop to the bottom, it's up to you, or it can drop just below the bottom. I'm sure when I cast out, sometimes it's near the bottom, sometimes it's on the bottom, but let it drop. Twitch, nice and aggressive, kick that lure into action, let that line settle back down. Real lazy, real slow, like you can't be bothered. Have that confidence, but just real like you're lazy. That's the best way to explain it. And then on the next one, double twitch, nice and strong and aggressive. Keep that rod quite low, but really twitch it. Kick that lure up. If the lure rises and it hits the surface, that's fine. Bass smash these off the top. They will chase it up and they will hit it. 9 times out of 10, what happens is it drops, you twitch it up, the lure settles near the top, and then that line slackens because you're on that pause. The lure will just start falling and the bass will smash it, and they're chasing it up. Stop, they look at it, drops, bang, straight in their mouth. And that's 9 times out of 10, that's how we catch them. So reel it slow, don't overdo it. Twitch aggressive, be aggressive with it, but reel it slow. So you're maximizing the most movement in one area, if that makes sense. So you're covering that area solidly before you reel and you move on to the next. And by doing that, it's aggressive twitching, but slow reeling. You can almost twitch it and let the tide drop it back down. Twitch it, and so you're only moving a couple of foot at a time because it's moving back a foot every time it's moving 3 foot forward. And that's what we find really well. So the aim of this is twitch it, get it darting across in the water, covering the water column side to side. And the only way of doing that is, like I say, cast it out, let it drop, twitch aggressively. That lure will kick into action, double twitch, let it drop, couple of seconds, slowly reel in, twitch, 3 twitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2. Just mix it up. Just make sure you're twitching that lure. Every time you connect back with that line tightening up, twitch. The harder you twitch without it flying out the water, the more aggressive that bass will hit it, because it's going to twitch. The bass is going to see it, get all that predatory instincts kicking in, and then the lure's going to stop and slowly fall. And that bass knows now's time to eat that. It's at its slowest. This is ambush time. So that is when you will catch them. with line placement with these in the wind, they are difficult to use in the wind. A lot of people say, you know, I can't fish with them, it's windy. You can. So what you do is you cast. I fish everywhere with these, off the shore, beaches, gullies, estuaries, even rivers, freshwater rivers where the bass run up. I've had them on, and I catch them quite often. I fish in gullies from a foot to 6, 7, 8 foot wide. And what I do is, if it's windy, what I'll do is I'll cast it out. I always keep the rod quite low and the line quite low, and sometimes give it a side cast. And I'll cast out, and then if you cast normally overhead buff into a gully that's, you know, a little way out, and you let the lure sink, when you start twitching, your line's just fluttered round onto the bank. It's created a big D in it because the wind's pulled the line round, and then you're going to be surfing this on top. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to cast it out and keep the either side cast or cast low, get that lure out, and as that lure drops and hits the water, your line is going to start going off to the left. So what you want to do is let the lure hit the water, so you've got the grab of the water on the lure, and then you want to do that with your rod, a bit like what you do when you fly fish, but you want to spiral your line over really aggressively quick and drop your rod. So if you've got a westerly wind, say, you know, pushing across, and you cast out, quickly do that with your line. Keep your rod tip just above the water, let your line settle on the water, and what happens is, as you do that, the line pulls round, and then the tension on the lure straightens the line out. So then leave the lure to drop, and that first twitch of the lure dropping will straighten out all your line, and then you'll be able to reel it dead center of that gully. But if you've got a strong wind, you will do a few casts where they don't get where you want them, because you need to learn to cast further to the right if there's a westerly wind, or, you know, whatever wind, you know, you need to know what side to cast. So cast an extra 5 foot into the wind, because you know it's going to go 5 foot round. Once you learn it and practice it, you'll be able to cast in a 2 foot puddle, you know, 30 meters away. It's just understanding how the lure works and how the wind takes it. And once you nail it, you'll be able to fish really tight. I fish these everywhere, and they're amazing. And the reason I love them is because they cover so much water. So mainly fish it with a weightless hook. Occasionally I will use a belly weighted hook. I use Savage Gear 6.0s, 3 gram, but you can use any 5 or 6.0 hook, and I would say 2 to 3 gram. Don't go any higher than 3 gram, because you lose the action, you lose that darting effect of it. So I would stick with about a 3 gram. I would only use this if I'm fishing a gully, but I'm casting behind it where there's a tide flow coming through. Because what happens is, if you use this, it will pull, which is good, you know, you want it moving, but it will pull past the gully, and then you won't get it in the gully you're trying to aim for. So in a fast tidal pull, I would cast this over the gully, and then this will sink. Even in a tide, this will sink at about the same rate as this, because when the weighted hook's sinking in a tidal flow, it's sort of going down slowly at an angle. When there's no tide, this drops slowly as well, but it goes almost straight down. So they do, you know, no tide, tidal pull, they sink about the same rate, and they act about the same. So you want to fish it the same with the weighted as you do the unweighted. The only difference is, when you're fishing off a beach with a tidal flow, cast out, let it sink again, but with your twitching, you don't need to twitch as aggressive. So I'm aggressive with my lures, and I always twitch aggressive, but you don't need to be as aggressive as I am. You just give it a good twitch, but you're not, you know, you're just giving it a little twitch and a double twitch, because this is going to be lower down, because you've got that tide pushing it down. But at the same time, when you twitch it, you're in that strike zone, because you're at the right depth, or usually at the right depth for where the fish are. So you can twitch it less because you've got the tidal flow. And then what you can also do is you can fish with both. I sometimes use this off the shore without the weight. I cast up tide, and I'll let it flow back down the tide, and I'll twitch it softer. I'll twitch it more, but I'll twitch it softer, and I'll reel slower rather than being a lazy reel, because you're bringing it down tide, so it's already moving. So you just activating that rod a little bit just darts it, and that's what you want, because it's dropping, then you're darting it, bringing it up, you're dropping it, and that tidal flow sometimes we get 2, 3, 4 knot tides, sometimes 5, and that's a pretty fast flow of water. So you don't need so much aggression when you're fishing off the beaches. That's with a belly weight and a weedless weight. That's my advice. That's my opinion. Lots of people will tell you different things. Yeah, I catch fish. I catch plenty of fish, and I catch a lot of fish on these. So you can fish these weightless in. I fish them in 1 to 5, 6 foot, but you can fish them deeper and just let them sink a little bit longer. Still twitch them nicely. In the summer, when the bass are feeding on the bait fish and they're really active near the top, me and my friends snake these along the top, and they work really well, and they're so fun. They're almost the same as top waters. So cast out, I wouldn't do it this time of year in the winter. It's probably better to let it slowly sink, because the bass are a bit slow, they're a bit lazy. Even when we're hitting them in the winter at the moment on these, they're sort of they're either hitting it to stun it, or they're grabbing it and then they're just taking a couple of seconds and then they're turning and then you're hooking up. So you got to set the hook gently in the winter. Don't get excited. Don't get too. It is exciting when they hit it, obviously, but just give them time to grab it, feel it soft, and go, oh yeah, I like this, and then commit to it, and then you can pull up into them. Give them time. You'll know, because your line will twang, and you'll feel it hit it. You'll feel everything. So yeah, that's how you should fish them. But yeah, I fish these in very shallow water. If you fish in the summer with these and you want to snake them along the top, cast them out and reel them slowly. So a standard slow retrieve. You don't have to stop, and just twitch, twitch, twitch. And what they'll do is they'll dart within 5-10 centimeters under the water, but they're also, every twitch they will snake on the top. So they will dart like this on the top, and the bass, you'll see, we've had it so many times before, you'll see that they rise up and then they lock onto it, and then once they've locked onto this, you're not getting away with it. We've had times where we've casted it out in the summer, this is no word of a lie, casted it out in the summer, say what, 20-30 foot out there, maybe further, not massive cast, and we've had bass 20-30 foot away lock onto it because they've heard it hit the water and heard that maybe that rattle, and they've locked onto it and they've shot across the water. We've had 2 or 3 at once trying to hit them, and that's how effective they are and the action they give off. They're really, really good lures. So I think I've covered how I fish with them and how I recommend you fishing with them. But this is just my opinion. You can fish with them how you want to, but I am just showing you how I catch fish. Lastly, the materials I use to make these, most companies make them with a super soft plasticine. So when they make them with a super soft, it's so soft they're designed to break. Companies want to make more money, which is fair enough if it's their business, you know. I do this as a hobby as well. It's a side business, but it's a hobby. I paint and decorate every day, so that's my living. This is fun. I love lures, love lure fishing. I love making lures, so it's just, yeah, amazing. So this is why I do it. So with super soft, they break very easy. Sometimes you can get snagged up in weeds or grass and they will tear. Sometimes a fish will just have a chunk at it and it will snap it. And also when they're super soft, they will flutter more, which is great. They flutter down more. Mine is made with a soft medium compound mix, my own mix. I've tested them for their sink rate, their action, their durability. I don't need to add salt to my lures either. And what I find with the plastisol I use to make these is they're more of a darting lure than a flutter. They flutter great, but they dart. The fluttering ones, the softer plastisol, they tend to sink and flutter, but they don't really have that side dart as much. With these, they dart very aggressively side to side, and then when you pause, they flutter down and that tail activates. But they don't flutter and bend up as much as a super soft plastisol would. But I didn't want that when I made these. When we designed to make these, I want them to dart. I like to work my lures, and these work extremely well. So these dart a lot better than the super soft plastisol. We've had 6 to 8 fish on these, and they've barely damaged it. So I would say you would have up to 10 fish before these get destroyed. But I'm not saying that they won't get destroyed by 1 or 2 aggressive bass, but we've had plenty of fish on one. So 4 of these will last you a lot of fish. 4 other branded lures that are super, super soft, yeah, they have flutter, but they don't have that darting action. And when you're twitching, this body, because it's a bit more durable, it's got a bit more hold to the body, so that allows it that darting action. If it was really soft and it was just sort of bending down really soft, it wouldn't be able to dart as much because the gravity wouldn't allow it to. It would sit down. So like I said, it would flutter more. But I didn't want a fluttering lure. I wanted a darting lure that flutters on the drop, and that's why I use the Plastiso I do. And like I said, I don't need to use added salt, nothing like that. I am very generous with the lures I make. I put a lot of fluorescent colours in. I add a lot of UV because I want maximum attraction. You know, I want what I need to catch fish, and I enjoy catching fish, and I enjoy catching fish on my own lures. So that's why I make them how I do. They're very durable and they work really well. These are the 6-inch, and you get 4 in a pack, and they come with a twist lock hook and 2 rattles. And you also have my new 4.5-inch version, which so these 6-inch are 15 grams, and that's with a that's that. So with the hook, these are 10 grams with a hook, and these are my new 4.5-inch size. They work exactly the same as a 6-inch. We find we've had hundreds of bass on the 6-inch, but we've had nothing under 45 centimeters. Not one fish, but we've had loads of fish on these. Sometimes we don't really want the fish under 45 centimeters, so we're happy using the 6-inch. However, we found with the 4.5-inch, we are finding bass under 45 centimeters. My friend had a 42 the other day. So if you want some fun and you're targeting any bass, maybe try the 4.5. If you want the big boys and you know that you're probably going to catch most fish over sort of 45, 50. Most of ours have been 50, 58, 60. We've had 62, 63 on them. So we've had quite a few. Then try the 6-inch. They both got the same action. Obviously the 4-inch, you might want to, 4.5-inch, you might just want to let it drop a little bit longer. But you'll get to grips with the action of them both, and you'll have great fun. So yeah, that's the video for you. I hope it's helped, and good luck with fishing. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.